According to fans, this is the best Star Trek movie of all time. And let's face it, it's trying to be Star Wars. Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Directed by Nicholas Meyer. Supervised by Harv Bennett of Paramount's television unit. The Wrath of Khan was produced on a budget of $12 million. Bennett felt that the problem with 1979's Star Trek The Motion Picture was that it lacked a villain. So he set about watching every episode of the original series in search of a worthy foe for Captain Kirk, until he saw Space Seed from 1967 and found his Star Trek nemesis. Turns out Bennett's instincts were right on the money, because upon its release on Friday, June 4th, The Wrath of Khan made $97 million, becoming the sixth highest grossing film of 1982. Which means something when you realize Tron, Rocky III, Blade Runner, The Thing, First Blood, Poltergeist, E.T., The Dark Crystal, Gandhi, The Secret of Nim, Conan the Barbarian, 48 Hours, and Firefox were released the same year. But speaking of wizard films, we are mere weeks away from completing our location work for Star Wars Fallen Jedi. And thanks to my brave heroes of the Empire, we're halfway there, raising the funds for my replacement costume which I damaged filming the intense fight choreography for our fan film. The Empire thanks Admiral John Crawford, Captain Matthew Nicholson, Snowtrooper Captain Noah Dingley, and I'm just happy to be a Stormtrooper, Adam Jordan, for their generosity. To all of you who have given your hard-earned credits and shared these videos, I have been and forever shall be your friend. If you enjoy our content, please consider donating to our PayPal today, and your name will be listed on the end credits of our fan film. But now, let's join our enterprising company as we discuss Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Our film starts off with a bang, when 3 Klingon warbirds attack the Enterprise during a training cruise. Given the fact that the entire cast is now wearing red shirts, the mission goes about as well as you would expect. But fortunately for the crew, the reports of their deaths are greatly exaggerated, since it turns out to be a simulation. Because who'd be stupid enough to kill off all of the classic fan-favorite characters in a popular space franchise right after introducing a brand new character we know nothing about? Anyway, Kirk is feeling bluer than a bullion drinking Romulan ale because it's his birthday. He longs for the days when he was galloping around the cosmos, but he's getting too old for that sort of thing. But before it turns into Midlife Crisis the movie, we cut to Chekhov and Captain Terrell searching for a lightless planet where Starfleet can test a powerful new terraforming device known as Genesis. While on their trek across the planet's barren surface, they take shelter in a crashed freighter because, as everyone knows, sandstorms are very, very dangerous. Where they meet our villain of the picture, Khan. Played to theatrical perfection by Ricardo Montalban, who counted the role as a highlight of his career, saying it was time for him to play a villain once again, after years of playing Mr. Rourke on Fantasy Island. He watched Space Seed, which aired on February 16, 1967, repeatedly to get back into character. Fun fact: Kirk's apartment, the Botany Bay interior, as well as the scorched desert of SETI Alpha 5 were all constructed on Stage 8 at Paramount. Not only was it the largest sound stage at the studio, it would go on to become the home of many Trek projects throughout the years, housing sets for Star Trek The Next Generation, Voyager, and many others. Back to the movie. The villainous Mr. Montalban, naturally curious as to why his uninvited guests have arrived, decides to put a little bug in their ears, so to speak, to see if he could get some answers. Ken Ralston, who had just completed his creature design work for Return of the Jedi, would handle the creature effects for City Alpha 5's only indigenous life forms, which were not quite domesticated. This was not the only connection to Star Wars, however. To achieve the exciting space battles between the USS Enterprise and the Reliant, the special effects wizards at ILM utilized the Dice Reflex motion control system developed for the original Star Wars in 1977. The simulation for the Project Genesis was not only the first computer-generated sequence ever used in a feature film. To ensure authenticity, Lauren Carpenter, head of Graphics Group Division at Lucasfilm, used a model of the Milky Way so the constellations would be completely accurate, given the position of the simulated moon. This graphics division would later become an independent company known as Pixar, changing the face of animation forever with their groundbreaking film Toy Story in 1996. Ironically enough, the same year Khan was supposedly exiled into space aboard the sleeper ship Botany Bay. After commandeering the Reliant as well as the Genesis device, Khan goes on a search for Spock, as it were, knowing if he finds the Enterprise, that's where he will find his nemesis. And where this film truly shines is the rivalry between our hero and villain. Maintaining continuity by bringing back a memorable foe from the series for the big screen was unheard of at the time, and when you pit the megalomaniacal Montalban against the scene-chewing William Shatner, they go together like ham and cheese in the best possible way. The theatricality of the main antagonist, combined with the grand visuals and James Horner's rousing film score, set the bar for all Star Trek films to follow, and saved the franchise. During the finale, Mr. Spock finds the weakness in our sinister Superman's strategy, stating his tactics indicate two-dimensional thinking, which is natural given the fact that Khan would have only ever played a Super Nintendo since he was exiled in 1996, the year the Nintendo 64 was released. The final conflict between the two starships in the Mutara Nebula was inspired by 1957's The Enemy Below, which also served as the inspiration for the 1966 episode of Star Trek, Balance of Terror, where Trek fans were first introduced to the Romulans. Fun fact, the reason Saavik, played by Kirstie Alley, was more emotional than a typical Vulcan is because she is, in fact, half Romulan. Alley, a lifelong fan of the franchise, loved Mr. Spock as a child and would pretend she was his daughter. When she auditioned for the role of Saavik, she did her best Leonard Nimoy impression, complete with his trademark eyebrow raise. She loved her Vulcan ears so much, during production she would wear them home each night, even sleeping in them. While the film had an exciting finale, its strength was in its emotional climax. Leonard Nimoy, sort of the Harrison Ford of the group, was convinced by producer Harve Bennett to return to the role of Spock when he was promised, quote, the greatest death scene ever put to film. During the 3 days filming for Spock's death scene, the set was closed to visitors to ensure secrecy. But after test audiences reacted poorly to Spock's demise, the mind meld with McCoy was added, as well as additional dialogue and a shot of Spock's casket on the Genesis planet to let everyone know their favorite pointy-eared hobgoblin would be back in no time. In the end, Star Trek II gave audiences what they were hoping for in Star Trek the Motion Picture, and like the Genesis wave, breathed new life into a franchise that was all but dead, paving the way for continuing missions where no one had gone before. So for its spirit of adventure, themes of friendship and courage, sweeping film score by James Horner, and stellar performances by Ricardo Montalban and the entire cast, I give this film 5 out of 5 Death Stars. The Wrath of Khan is impressive. Most impressive. This has been Vader Reviews. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications, and follow me on Twitter @Vader Reviews. Join the Empire today. You do not yet realize realize your importance. Share these videos, and together we will rule the internet. And always remember, live long and prosper.